This is the Nutrition Spot, and my name is Giftina Kainga. It happens to be the first week of March, and tomorrow it happens to be the International Women's Day. I'm super excited because I'm a female. I'm a woman. You know, there are women that are not really women, but I'm a female created in God's image. So, being that tomorrow it is Women's Day, today, being it is the Nutrition Spot, we want also to encourage, as the entire world is celebrating women in one way or the other, and we well know that women play a big part in how we eat, like in our nutrition, and we think that also the nutrition has a very great and profound impact on our health, on our mental health. So today, our topic of discussion is about nutrition and its profound impact on our mental health. I have experts in the studio, and I'm so much honored and privileged to have only specialists. So with me in the studio, I do have Chris Mwanje, who is maternal and child health and nutrition specialist, and I do have Segawa Medi, who is also a clinician and a mental health expert. So with those specialists in the studio, I believe by the time we leave the studio, we're going to be able to know what we are supposed to eat and how we are supposed to eat it, and how to deal with the different mental health disorders that are in line with nutrition. So allow me welcome my guests to just say hello to you, and then we shall get into the deep science on nutrition and mental health. I'll start with Chris Mwanje. You're so much welcome.
Thank you so much.
Greetings to the viewers.
Greetings to the viewers. I want to commiserate with those that are going through hard times, those who have lost their loved ones, as well as those who are sick. Hope our words will heal them as we go on with the show. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris, and I'll go to Segawa Medi. You're so much welcome.
Thank you, Gift. Yeah, good evening, viewers. I'm so glad to be here to share and also learn from you about nutrition and how it affects our mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think since last year, or for quite some time, we've tried to pick interest in mental health, and for some reason we've not been paying attention. But if you look at the statistics from the World Health Organization, it shows that almost in one in four people, that one might manifest with any of the mental disorders. So literally that shows that we have to try to pay attention if it comes to mental health. And being that we're looking at food, so we well know that also food has an impact on our mental health. But let us first understand the terms like distinctively. I'll start with Chris Mwanje to make us understand. I believe there is someone that has joined the show for the very first time, and they are wondering, what is nutrition? So what is nutrition in layman's language?
Nutrition is from a technical term, it's just a science of food, but in a layman's language, I would define as nutrition as the way food works in your body, and then what is manifested is your nutrition status. In other words, whether it's, for example, if someone is obese, that would tell us how food has worked in their body. Yeah, so nutrition is basically the way food is working in your body.
It is the science.
In the layman's language.
Okay.
Yes, in the technical terms,
okay.
Nutrition is the science of food. Yes. And cookery is the art of food.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, yeah. I think I didn't even know the difference between the two. So back to you, Segawa. What about mental health? We're having two terms in one, and we really need to understand both of them.
Okay, thank you. If you look at mental health simply, according to the World Health Organization definition, mental health is a state of well-being mentally, which helps people to cope with the stresses of life, to realize their abilities, and also learn and work well to contribute to their community.
Thank you so much, Segawa. So to work well and be able to contribute to your community, so that means if you're not in the right mental state, you will be unable to cope up with the stresses of life. And we know so well that life is itself, it's a whole lot of work. It is stressing. But there are certain things that we can do to minimize the stress that comes along with the day-to-day activities of life. And that is why we are targeting what we eat to be able to boost our mental health capacity. So I'm going to go back to you, Chris, to take us through the impact. Like, how big is the impact of nutrition if it comes to mental health?
Yes, maybe to add on what Segawa said, mental health also has a lot to do with the mind. Someone has to understand the mind. The mind, when we talk about the mind, many people have a limited scope of what the mind is. They think the mind is just the brain, but the mind is beyond the brain. We have basically what is called like two kinds of minds. What you can call the conscious mind, which contains the brain, and then the subconscious mind, which many people prefer to call the heart. You've heard of people who tell you, my heart told me. So that's also a mind. Or it's a whole human tripartite being. We are spirit, soul, and body. So the spirit is also part of the mind, beyond the physical feelings and what we think. So that entails the whole, how is both of those minds, are they healthy? Because both of them can be sick. And one of the things that causes the subconscious mind, the one that is called the mind of the heart, not the one with the aortas, but the spirit part of the body. One of the things that hurts that mind is fear. So, for example, in my context, you find a condition such as preeclampsia that affects mothers, hypertension that comes during that time of delivery. Now that one is not so much to do with the lifestyle of the mother, but it's the pressure that comes with giving birth. So that in itself, because of that fear of losing probably the young one, or fear of the mother herself losing her life. So there is always that pressure that comes in there. And that's what we call preeclampsia. So, or you could even talk about the fear of gaining weight, anorexia nervosa. That's a scientific word of that fear that comes with gaining excess weight. So fear may not be something that is an automatic thing. We can't trace it in the lab, but it's a great, great contributor to mental health compared to even the things we can test in the lab. Yeah, so one of the things that I would probably, the entry point of where then nutrition conditions, where you link nutrition conditions to mental health could be now understanding the whole scope of the mind. Yes.
So you want to say that it all begins in the mind. For example, if you talk about the conditions like the anorexia, omuntu okutya okulya, in the sense of maybe it will alter their body,
yes.
Maybe they might feel a particular way. Do you want to mean that it starts in the mind?
Yes, it starts in the mind. Because, like I said, the conscious mind, the sensory mind, the mind that controls what you receive by sight, what you receive by hearing, that perspective of what you think the community thinks about you. For example, if the community has tilted a certain picture of people who are fat, now that picture that has been painted to you from what you've heard, that is the one that contributes to that fear. You'd go in certain countries where it's probably normal to be overweight, okay, in certain nations. Yet you go to other nations where it's a taboo to be overweight. So okay, it's all down to what the sensory mind is perceiving. And over meditating on that then pushes it to a conscious mind, what we call the heart.
What we ourselves that we call it
the
heart.
People have called it the heart. Yeah.
Okay, let me first go to Segawa, because now I think we need to go back a bit to understand some of the conditions that are related to nutrition but are from this other side of mental health. What are some of those conditions? It's mentioned about the anorexia, and how do they come about?
Okay, that's a good one. So you look at conditions like anorexia nervosa, like he has said there is bulimia. There are other conditions which affect mental health, like depression, like anxiety, the OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. The food addiction as well, actually, is also a problem, addiction, and others.
Someone having food addiction is also a problem.
Yes, it's
so
a problem.
Let's go back to the wide scope. How do we, maybe some of the factors that will lead to a person having some of these disorders, especially the eating disorders?
Okay, so that's a good one. Now, if you look at the brain alone, the brain actually is around 2% of the body weight, okay? 2%, which weighs around 1.4 kilograms. However, it has got a high affinity for food. Most of what we put on the plate, 25% of it is consumed by the brain, which is a very, tiny proportion in relation to the whole body. So you will see that actually the brain has got a big need for food. And if you are to compare with all those stars you see in the galaxy, the kind of neurons or the network of the brain tissue, actually it amounts to more than all those stars you see up there in the sky. So what we put on the plate has got a big factor to play on how our brain functions. And it's like a car. If it's a diesel car and you put the wrong kind of fuel, say petrol, this car is going to malfunction. So the same applies to our brain. So if you don't put the right kind of nutrients, the right kind of food, then we are going to get, all these kinds of problems, which they have been classed as mental health problems.
Thank you so much. I'll go back to you, Chris. You are a specialist in maternal and infant health and nutrition, but we're having these eating disorders. Give us a picture of in which kind of, maybe it could be age group or those special groups where it does manifest the most.
Which particular disorder?
The eating disorders.
Okay. The eating disorders, when you look at children, there is one that is called pica. Pica is an addiction to eating pens, eating sticks, eating pepper. That condition is called pica. It happens in especially children before 5 years. It's so common in those children.
Yeah, but we usually see people eating their pens.
Yeah, but I'm first talking about the kids, then I'll get back to the adults.
Okay.
Yeah, for the kids, it normally manifests and it's staring because it indicates that a kid is lacking certain nutrients. So it's one of the deficiencies that you would trace. Maybe if that kid was not well breastfed, you will see probably the hand in the thumb, in the mouth. Okay. Probably an indicator that the kid wants breast milk or he didn't breastfeed enough. So some of those pickers are telling to the medical practitioners, but also to the mother, it could probably tell you something to do with that. And then with the adults, there are these ones where it comes in form of, you want to eat something. For example, you want to eat fene, jackfruit, and you have a longing to eat jackfruit. That's not pica, but it's one of the ways the body will probably manifest that there is a deficiency. There is something that the body wants to take in. And it could probably, majorly, most of those ones come because of food. And I'm not even talking about this whole addiction to sweet things or coffee. I'm not talking about that kind of addiction. There's this one where someone longs to have something, but something that is nutritious. And that comes from the body itself. So, yeah, if someone was grown very well and were used to fruits, so in times where you take long to take them, they will probably bring up those kinds of addictions, so those longings.
Okay,
yeah.
The cravings.
The cravings, yes.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
Sega.
maybe to add on Chris's submission about addiction. So the brain is a very intelligent organ.
Yes.
Actually, with addiction, you find that when someone craves something, there is kind of a reward mechanism in the brain. For example, if you take food, then you feel that reward. And there are chemicals which are poured in the brain like dopamine.
The hormone.
Yeah. So you find that with that addiction, whenever someone eats more or does something, then the reward centers, increases, and the dopamine is poured more in the brain, and then they will feel good within themselves because they are eating food. And then with the time also they get tolerance, whereby actually they have to eat more food to get that kind of it's like a fix, like someone who's addicted to cocaine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, does it explain now? I want to go to the mothers, because usually when a woman is pregnant, they crave for certain things. Like you find some of them eat etulite bomba, etaka. What does that mean? Because now if you say, if I find a child like maybe eating alia penny, alonde papula, that means there is a deficiency. Should I say that even for this pregnant woman, it's the same thing, they are lacking something of?
Yes, with pregnancy comes hormonal changes, and that is down to hormones. But even in itself, I've read some studies that have been done around clay, and clay contains some bit of iron, although its kind of iron is not used so much in the body. And that's one thing that maybe mothers there should understand. That kind of clay, that iron from clay, is not used by the body because it's not really absorbable. It's clay, but it points to the fact that the mother is probably lacking iron.
As a deficiency.
Yes, as a deficiency, because during birth, the iron levels that are needed in the body are way too high, and so even during that time, mothers are supplemented with iron and folic acid. Folic acid comes from the word foliage. Foliage means the leaf. So anything green around could probably do that. For example, when you look at the ancient mothers, they never used to take supplementary tablets like we do now. But they used to take greens, those green herbs. Yeah, they were basically to integrate that bit of folic acid. Yes, so you realize even then, we didn't have so many cases of NTDs, neurotube defects. Yeah, because mothers could incorporate it naturally. Although, one of the ingredients that lacks, many people think, and even in health centers, practitioners think that folic acid is the same as vitamin B12. But that's not right. Vitamin B12 cannot be got from nature. While foliage, like the leaves, those ones can be got freely in the nature. So what they supplement with, those supplements contain vitamin B12, which cannot be got from nature.
Okay.
Yes, so that's why we recommend supplementation for that reason, because the vitamin B12 components in that supplement cannot be found in the leaves of the nature. Yes. Yes, so
okay, if you're out there and you've not attended antenatal, you can only learn these things when you attend antenatal. So kindly go and get yourself attached to a good hospital and be taught about these things and how you can fight different defects that come about when you miss out on certain nutrients. So we should go back. I feel like he's talked about the picker. I think you've explained it so well. And then you talked about the anorexia, which we really have to explore, because we're having adolescents or children in schools manifest with these kinds of disorders. And I think the society is taking it to be like, for example, if someone has anorexia, they will be like, omwana yekoze, omwana tayagala kulya, oyo mwana tayagala kulya. Oba omwana bwabanga alya nnyo, the binge eating and the bulimia, they will be like, oyo twamuvaako alya buli bwasanze. So, but I want us to understand, could the overeating, could it be the same as, I would say maybe I'm addicted to food, that me, I love eating and all that. What is the difference between the two?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one, but still when we go back to the basic functionality of a brain, the brain is like a software on a computer. You add components for it to work. So the food we eat, actually that's what runs the brain. But if you look at other studies, they claim that when we have this problem like bulimia, nervosa, anorexia, there are problems with the way the brain is functioning. And also if you look at basic physiology of a body, there are hormones like ghrelin, which controls hunger and satiety. So if you look at, there is a kind of medicine they call functional medicine, we look at mostly how the body functions, So, and also if you look at some studies, they show that in cases of eating disorders like bulimia, if you look at just maybe a nutrient like copper, you might find that maybe the copper is low, there is a deficiency, and that is one of the things which is causing this kind of problems in the brain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to you, Chris.
Yeah.
I initially was asking you whether they are common in children, in adults, in where are they common? And he's talked about that maybe we're having a certain deficiency and all that, but what could be other triggers that lead to those specific conditions?
Yes, I think maybe to first elaborate from what you asked him, there is a difference between bulimia nervosa and anorexia nervosa. Now the difference is with anorexia nervosa, someone does not fears to gain weight, and so they take very little food. And in most cases they skip meals. So in most cases they don't even take food.
They skip meals.
Yes. While in bulimia, someone eats, but then they fear that what they have eaten is too much to make them gain a lot of weight. So they use self-inducing methods to get the food out.
Like vomiting.
Yes. So they will eat to satisfy the hunger. And then someone engages, maybe they use the thumb or the finger, they point it in the throat, and then the food comes back. So that's called bulimia nervosa. So I think I first wanted to clarify on that. Then the second one, like he said, I agree with him. Yes, the brain does not store energy. The brain depends entirely on the glucose from the body. So the brain doesn't have stores that store glucose. So, but also, like from the beginning, the introduction I made, I think it gives a better picture of what you're asking. When you look at the mental health and the mind, when you're looking at the mind as just the brain, you never get the full context of mental health. And that's why I gave it a bigger context that is probably, maybe the psychologists will argue that what we have in the hospital is so limited. And I agree with them totally, because when you look at it from just looking at mental health and the brain as your mind, then you will not understand that probably this teenager who wants to become a model is probably has an icon who is a model on TV that they are watching. And that icon is the one that is influencing her life. So she wants to take up that particular shape of the body from that icon. Now, hormones may not give you an interpretation of that. Probably if you are on your hospital desk and you want to interrogate that, probably you will get the diagnosis wrong. But if you take the whole picture and look at what probably you ask this teenager, what do you want to become? And she tells you, I want to become a model. Then you begin to address anorexia nervosa from that point of yes, you don't need to skip meals, but you can do these kinds of food and still have that weight that you desire to have. So you can address that fear without necessarily using a forceful approach, that is scary, which most parents use. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're still looking at nutrition and mental health. We want to see the relationship between the two and what is the impact of nutrition to our mental health, because from our experts, I think they've laid a foundation of how what we eat really affect our mental health or our well-being. So we're going to get into a break. When we come back, we shall explore more on nutrition and mental health.
Bethany TV for health. Are you ready for this good news? You can now watch Bethany TV on Yo TV, AfroMobile, and Airtel TV apps. Yes! Catch the finest programming prescription for everybody, wherever you are, whenever you are. Bethany TV, for health. Exciting news for all viewers of Bethany TV. Bethany TV, the premier health TV channel in Uganda and Africa, and also your favorite TV station, is now on Star Times. You can now watch Bethany TV day and night, weekdays and weekends on Star Times, channel 271. Catch your favorite programs on health, wellness, entertainment, and so much more. Bethany TV is also available on free-to-air, GoTV, YoTV, Airtel TV, and AfroMobile apps. Not forgetting online via our website www.bethanytv.ug and social media platforms at Bethany TV UG. Bethany TV, for health. Showing on Bethany TV, growing and multiplying.
Father, we thank you that as we've master joined our faith on this earth, whatever
Touching those close and beyond, the word of God ministered, lives changed.
Our God made a way for the children of Israel and they made it to the promised land.
the day of salvation, and today is a day of freedom for you. In Jesus' name, if you believe it, say amen.
We celebrate the resurrection because Jesus is alive.
It's a brand new day. Here we say it's a brand new day.
Never miss the Watoto Sunday service every Sunday, 10 to 11:30 a.m. live on Bethany TV for health. Showing on Bethany TV.
Why do we get sick?
That lack of knowledge is it's a very, very big problem.
What can we do to avoid becoming sick?
From hospital and you're fine, you don't disappear. Come back after 6 days. We do an assessment. How is your blood pressure? How are you doing? How are you coping up with motherhood?
Here's an opportunity to learn about some of the common illnesses and how to avoid them.
Don't overuse your knee joint.
Buli muntu yenna alina obulwadde obwa diabetes, obwa pressure, yetaaga eye check-up.
Get all your health questions answered by a health expert.
Only on the new series of Health and Wellness. Every Saturday, 8 p.m. live on Bethany TV with your host, Dorothy Ainembabazi. Bethany TV for health.
Today we explore the fascinating relationship between nutrition and mental health. So if you're out there and you want to ask any questions or you want to, supplement or complement on anything that we're having in the studio, the number is going to be running over the screen. So you can WhatsApp us or you can call on 0786 050762 0786 050-762. You can send a message or you can call. We shall be able to receive you in the studio. Those that are watching us on different social media platforms, you're doing a great job. So with me in the studio, I'm honored to have specialist, a clinician, Sega Wamedi, also an entrepreneur. He also into so much into motivational speaking. But I also have a maternal and child health and nutrition specialist, that is Chris Mwanje. We're understanding how does what we eat really affect our well-being. So there is something that I really don't want to miss out on this particular topic or subject, and that is about hydration, us taking water, because I think we've been in a season where everyone has been crying, and all that. And experts have been telling us, please take water, take water, take water. So we want to know, why is water good for our mental health? Does it contribute anything? So I'll start with you, Chris, and maybe have you been taking water? Like, how much of it have you been taking?
Check what is enough. Check what is enough. I've not really had hydration issues.
You've not had them?
Yes, because I think I know how to take water. So many people...
It's not about the season?
Yeah, it's not really about the season, but it depends on how you take fluids. Not really water, but what counts in the body is the water, the fluid. So I would probably do my tea, then I do my, like now that it has been too sunny, I was doing a lot of watermelon. Yes, so I wasn't doing it directly, like I see people pumping themselves with jerrycans of water. No, but I was incorporating it with other things.
Okay.
Probably the soup I was doubling now. I was taking like twice of the soup. Yeah.
So why is it important for us to keep our bodies hydrated and maybe to take as much fluids as possible?
Yes, one of the things is the body contains 75% water. And that is for the blood to move and everything to move, it has to have water. Water is the vitamins. We have the B vitamins, B complex, all those are water soluble vitamins. In other words, for them to work in the body, they must have water as a medium. So, and yet those micronutrients are the ones that run everything around the body. They are the ones that move the macronutrients, the ones that you use for energy, they are moved by those micronutrients. So, and that's why we can't do it without water. We can't do without water. So, it's really very important, even beyond us having it in season, but always hydrate ourselves. When your lips are dry, that's a danger sign that shows that probably you are dehydrated. So instead of, I see ladies compensating it with lipstick, yeah, and biting their lips, but you can do more water. That's a sign that probably what you're taking is little to what the body needs. So before you get into situations, you've seen when people get malaria and they develop sores on their lips, that's a sign that someone is lacking vitamin Bs.
Yeah, but all along they were telling us if you get the sores, that means the malaria is coming out.
Yes, to them, man, I think that was the best way to explain it. But when you look at those things, most of those sores even come before someone takes medications. So micronutrients like vitamin Bs never send someone to the sick bay. But when there is a precursor, for example, I'll give an example. When there was COVID, people remembered that actually vitamin C was very important to their bodies. So whenever a disease comes, it serves as a precursor to remind you that even the other vitamin is important. So that vitamin B, when it's lacked, it causes those sores to come on someone's lips. And like I explained, it's one of the vitamins that benefits from water because it's a water-soluble vitamin. So when there is lack of water, then that means also that vitamin is not there in the body. And now for the elderly that survive on thiamine, for example, those who have nervous issues, issues with the nerves, then there you have to double your water content because you need that vitamin B1 especially, thiamine, to move to help you with your nerves. So that one, when we get into seasons of dehydration, it even becomes intense. But like we said, the main function, what we are discussing about the mind, the brain, it works on glucose. And for glucose to move to the brain, there has to be water. Yes.
Maybe also to chip in on the hydration aspect, Yeah, we need proper hydration for proper brain functioning. Some recommendations are that we need to take at least 6 glasses of water in 24 hours, and each glass, measuring around 300 mils. Yeah. So hydration is very, very important for proper mental health functioning.
Thank you so much. Because I saw someone, I think, last month when they were emphasizing that if you're out there and then you're so much forgetful, so thank you so much. And there is also another aspect that I think I started saying that we're living in a stressful kind of life. Okay, if you're out there and the life is not really stressful, thank God. We appreciate God for that gifting. But to some people that are working under maybe stressful environments, or things are not working out well for them, so stress is just around them, what could be some of the things that maybe in terms of like what we are supposed to eat and all that, how are we supposed to go about it? And okay, if I'm really stressed, does the stress affect my food choices? To you, Mehdi.
Stress, actually, that's a good one. If you look at stress, actually, the body being in stress, there are stress hormones which are released like cortisol. And once you have that cortisol released in the body, imagine if you've met a lion, you're walking down the road. You know, so in local language, people say, but that is really cortisol being poured into your body, priming you to run so that the lion doesn't get you. So in that state, the cortisol affects the way you eat food. Probably you have more cravings for sugary things, for sugars, and it does affect you. So stress also will affect the hormones which regulate meal times or satiety and things. But the good thing is that there are foods actually which we call adaptogens, which we can eat to help us to overcome our stress responses. There are some herbs like ashwagandha. I don't know if you know about it. It's ashwagandha. I've forgotten the name clearly. But then also there are some minerals like magnesium. Yeah, studies have shown that once we're in that stressful situation, actually the body tends to leach magnesium. You just pour, when you go to the toilet to urinate, so it just gets leached from the body. And if you look at the biochemistry, magnesium in our body handles almost 350 biochemical processes. And these include mostly relaxation and sleep. Yeah, so stress really can affect our mental health. And also once you're stressed, you find problems falling asleep. And if you look at some of the root causes of mental ill health, is sleep. Once you're not sleeping properly, then you have problems. When you are asleep at night or during the day, that's when the brain actually does most of its housework to clean, the cleansing, trying to reset all the processes. So stress is one actually of the root causes of poor mental health or mental illness.
Thank you so much. I'll take it to you, Chris. Talk about the stress and it influencing the food choices. I think it was yesterday when we were having the World Obesity Day, and for some reason, some people will say it's because maybe I was stressed, it's because maybe this and this, it's because... So how does it come about, and what do you think that can be done? Especially, let's even look at the children, being that you're specializing in this child health. Let's look at the children.
Even before I look at children, because children's choices are influenced by the mothers.
The parents.
I'm going to look at it in 3 dimensions, 3D. But the first one is you look at maybe what most people, everyone has their own way of how they deal with stress before it becomes depression. You know that depression has levels. So it begins as a simple stress. When something has stressed you, when someone has a heartbreak, that is stress. So what is being stressed? Probably their mind, overthinking about something that was in the past. Probably someone has lost a loved one, and they are dwelling on those thoughts of the experiences they used to have with this person. And so you find that some people find solace in overeating, and they'll probably pick out certain foods that will give them relief. Now, one of those, which is not even a food, but alcohol is one of them. Some people decide to take on binge alcohol, to feel, they feel like when I get a hangover, probably this problem will go away. But when all is done, the problem remains there. But that's one of the ways. Other people will probably take on other things like chocolate, but it's majorly they look out for things that are very sweet and things that are so fatty. Yeah, although in there, the fatty things probably maybe because of some fatty acids that are probably important when it comes to dealing with mental health. For example, the mind survives so much on omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So, but we have, in nutrition, we have foods that are well documented and are well known as stress releasers. For example, everything that is yellow, because it contains vitamin C. So everything that is yellow has the ability to reduce stress in the body before it gets into a point of depression. And butunda juice is one of them, mango juice is another. So anything that you can do around, you can blend and find yourself solace in probably something that is better than alcohol. And like you said, there is also food, what has been termed as food for the soul. Yeah, so probably some people are stressed because of what they are hearing. I mean, you turn on the TV and everything is negative. Now that person, I probably don't have a diet plan for that person, but probably to change what they are eating in form of what their soul is eating, what I talked about as
what they are
the subconscious mind. Yes. Involuntarily, what are you perceiving? What are you receiving?
Does that goes back to what we're hearing?
Yes, what you hear, what you see, what you feel. All those aspects bring in that bit that we cannot diagnose in the medical chambers, that a test in the lab will not be able to find. But probably there is something that is stressing you from probably what you're seeing. Maybe you got a negative report. It could even have come from the hospital and it's negative. And you're seeking around, probably you're being told, oh, I have this cancer. Then you get to Google and you're reading everything around that cancer, how it is killing people. And so you get into that state of depression. Now, unless that person's channel is changed, you may not help so much. You cannot, I don't know how much passion fruits that person will need to take to overcome that. So I think the medical principle still applies. The channel that brings a condition is the same channel that you use to reverse a condition. So if something is coming from that aspect of fear, out of fear, then probably that's when now the food of the soul comes into play.
Interesting about food of the soul. Actually, when you read studies, they say dark chocolate actually is good for people who feel depressed or depressive symptoms, as well as people with anxiety. And when I talk about dark chocolate, I'm looking at chocolate with at least 70% cacao. That is the ingredient, and above, 70% and above. And then on the lower scale, chocolates which are below 70%, actually, studies show that people who are depressed or have got depressive symptoms, they tend to consume that kind of chocolate.
Yeah, but why? Because of it has that ability to incite or to stimulate what you call the feel-good hormone, dopamine. Yes, that's why I talked about those fatty people want to have that sugar because it has the ability to insinuate the feel-good hormone. Just like someone, probably you have a birthday party. If you don't have cake, probably people will say this is not a birthday cake. There is a way it stimulates people's mood.
Yeah,
and that hormone is.
Yeah, you also hinted on fat, actually. If you look at the structure of our brains, actually 60% of our brain structure is fat. So fat actually is also very, very important when it comes to mental health. I know in the mainstream they say fat is bad, but fat is actually good.
And I pointed out that
you
fat.
talked about the omega-3s and then the omega-6s. So, and also there are studies actually which have shown that if they put patients on depression on these omega-3s and whatever, and then you compare with maybe the antidepressant medications or placebo, patients who are on these omega-3s, they do so well.
They do better than the ones that are on antidepressants.
And if you look at food sources of like omega-3s, you know, we have fish, like salmon. I don't know if the Mputa here, the Nile part, I think it must have.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Even mukene, silverfish. What? You don't?
Yeah, it must. It's a good source of protein.
No, I mean.
It must. It has a lot of protein.
Mukene, how it comes in because of the calcium. Now you find that some of these foods, in order to be absorbed by the body, it will need calcium from mukene. So they work hand in hand.
I think
may
Nile
not-
patch
you
or
may not-
imputa is a good bet when
Yeah,
it
but
comes
the
to
imputa-
fat, which are good for, you know, proper brain function to get the omega-3s. Yeah.
Others are so exotic. For example, walnut. You may struggle to get walnut in Uganda. But I think
I buy my salmon fish, the tinned
salmon.
one. Yeah, it's mostly imported because we don't have salmon here in Uganda. But salmon is good for brain health. 'cause
So
it has-
basically that means we have a
Flax
variety of
seeds.
foods.
I think
and
in Uganda
Yes,
what we have
actually.
is chia seeds.
Chia seeds is a
Yes,
good one as
chia
well.
seed is the best source in Uganda that I could recommend someone who wants to get fatty omega-3 fatty acids. Chia seeds, yes.
Thank you so much.
Just
yes,
before
sir.
you go, yeah, you were saying about food. Actually, there is a doctor I follow. He's one of my idols. His name is Dr. Mark Hyman. He said actually food is the #1 tool for creating the very vibrant health we deserve. And if you talk about mental health, food, that's your go-to area.
Wow. So like we usually emphasize that let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. So that means if you really want to have a good mental state, if you really want to have a good well-being, you need to mind so much of what you eat and how you eat it. And they have talked about what we see byetuwuliriza ebyo byonna bikola kinene nnyo ku mental health therapy. So I'm going to go back to our expert just to give us a take-home message. If you had any questions, you can just put them on our social medias. That is Bethan TV Uganda on YouTube, on Facebook, but you can also visit our website as www.bethantv.ug. The number is also over the screen, 0786050762. You can put your question or anything you would want to supplement over there. We shall be able to go through it. But I'll start with you, Segawa. What is your take-home message to people out there that are probably already diagnosed with depression or anxiety, whatever mental disorder that they have, and maybe they're living in a setting where they even do not know what to do, or they are tired of the drugs? What is it that you can tell them to encourage them and also have them suppress on the symptoms?
Okay, that's a good one. So with my clinical background, I've worked for a few years in hospitals in the UK as well, in the United Kingdom. And I've seen patients struggle. And I believe mostly what happens in the mainstream hospitals is what we call sick care, care of the sick. I know medication like antidepressants and anxiety medicine can help when there is a crisis. Like maybe someone wants to commit suicide and things or take their own lives. But I also believe that we need to look at health or mental health holistically. And like when we are starting this show, we said the brain is very hungry for food. Like what you put on that plate, 25% goes to your brain. So whenever you're preparing your meals or you're doing a meal plan, think about 25% I'm feeding the brain. So am I feeding it the right kind of nutrients? So if you're out there and you're suffering from mental ill health, or you have friends or relatives who are suffering, I would really encourage you to consult your healthcare professionals. But then I would also like to inspire you. There are other ways of doing things like approaching mental health, like there are new things like what we call nutritional psychiatry or functional medicine. We are glad that here in Uganda we've got one of the biggest functional medicine doctors, Dr. Kasenene, Paul Kasenene. So if you're struggling, I would recommend you to check out Dr. Kasenene. He can really help you. And while I close, I would say what you find at the end of your fork is more powerful than anything you find at the bottom of that pill bottle, And that is a message from, quoting Dr. Mark Hyman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Segawa. I'll go to you, Chris. Your take-home
I think
message.
my take-home is, based from what we've been discussing, I have 2 points to take back home for the viewers. I think nutrition, one, it gives the viewer to own something, to own that depression. What do they do on their part before even they go to the hospital? and that's why I want to concentrate my take homes. One is create a corner, a resting corner in your home. Rest is so important when you're dealing with mental health. So create a resting corner before even when you get home, find a place where you can just take that juice that is made from mangoes, that is made from passion fruits, and first relax off the stress, and probably to do a lot in your body. Then the second one is probably I will not quote a doctor this time, but I will quote the words of the Bible, where Jesus said, "Guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life." So, whereas you may not control whatever comes to you, but you can control what you're seeing, what you're hearing, especially what you're hearing. Because if you are hearing a lot of negativity, chances are high you're going to be depressed. So guard your heart, and that heart he was talking about is the heart that I talked about when we were beginning, your subconscious mind. So guard it so jealously, because out of it flows depression. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you so much, Segawa. To our viewers, we want to appreciate you. We want to say thank you for being so intentional to want to better up your health. I believe that you have a reason as why you've been watching the program, and if there is anyone that you feel like has to watch this program and probably maybe they have missed on it, you can send them a link. You can direct them to our social medias, that is Bethany TV on YouTube and on Facebook, or you can even direct them to our website. Usually we talk about nutrition every single Thursday, 8 to 9 p.m. We're encouraging you to use your food to be your medicine, not to be running into those hospitals all the time. You can run in the hospital for thorough assessment and all that. Then after that, consult on how you are supposed to eat, but do not do self-diagnosis and self-kind of medication. Go to a professional and they tell you what exactly your body needs in terms of food. So thank you so much. My name is Giftina Kainga. I want to wish you the best of the night and happy Women's Day tomorrow to the entire world.
Bethany TV for health. Are you ready for this good news?